I'm a big time fan. I've been following you since 2015 on Instagram.
Whoa.
I've always been captivated by your style because your style is very unique. It's not, the community of videographers and content creators on Instagram and YouTube. It's huge, and everybody's super creative and everybody comes up with new things. But like your style is just super unique. There's a few things that me as a videographer I can see that you do differently, and like for example your color grading is super unique. That all the little elements that you do and you make them like actual films and the titles and everything. It's great. So I just want to start this with saying that I really admire you and I admire your quality and admire the passion that you have about everything that you do. So,
Thank you,
and I've
man.
been
That means a
through,
ton. For real. Thank you.
I mean it, and throughout the whole time that I've been doing videos and traveling, I've been looking up to your work and sometimes maybe I'm stealing ideas, but
Hey, that's where good ideas come from, right? Just the other people in the
yeah.
in the community. My name is Mitchell Mullins. I'm a film director or a commercial film director, and I'm originally from Nashville, Tennessee, but I've lived in Los Angeles, California for the last 6 years. So this place feels like home now, and the community out here is absolutely incredible. And really just dug my roots deep here, and this is home. So this is where everything happens. This is home base.
That's great. How was the move from Nashville to California? And I've been following you, so I know like you moved for the opportunities and basically connect with other people. So tell a bit more about that and kind of lead that towards what would you tell people who would like to follow their dreams and make a move somewhere, or just make a move to follow their dreams and careers?
Definitely. I mean, it was never really exactly the plan to move out to Los Angeles. Like when I was younger, growing up in Nashville, I'd actually never visited California. It wasn't until I was in college and there's kind of a long story here, but condensing it down, I decided to leave college and I had some friends that were living in California at the time. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out there. Let's just see how things are out in California. And I came out to Los Angeles for a month. And then within like a week, it was just meeting so many different like-minded creatives, different photographers, different videographers, like different artists of all kind. I was like, man, like we don't have this in Nashville, It's like the same experience of anyone really from like a small town. If you go to a bigger city and you really dive into a community out there, so quickly you're going to be like, oh my God, like I had no idea these people even existed. This is like just a totally new landscape. And so I knew from being out here for a couple of weeks and making a ton of new friends, I was like, all right, I want to continue my time out here. So I went home. I was like, it was definitely a little nerve wracking, right? Like it's not just an easy decision for someone to pick up their life and say, hey, I'm going to move across the country, or like that was my first time in California. Um, and especially that was like when I was really starting to try getting into freelancing. So there's the whole financial aspect of it where you're like, I'm sustaining myself now. I'm trying to move out here and do this the right way. It can definitely be scary, but I think like, I mean, ultimately it paid off, right? We've been able to grow into the community out here and meet some of our best friends. I think if I was talking directly to people that were in this place of contemplating moving to a bigger city, or moving to a new location or outside of their hometown or something, um, one, yes, it's scary, and there's like different boundaries to actually getting out there and stuff. But if specifically you're like a creator looking to widen your horizon, either just career wise or from just relationships with other people in the industry, there really are certain hubs for the creative industry, and one of them happens to be Los Angeles. And moving a little bit closer to the flame, it really does help. I wouldn't say it's necessary to like be here forever, or to be like, oh, you have to be in LA, you have to be in New York. I have friends that live in Missouri or live in Louisiana or something that are doing really well for themselves and absolutely dominating the creative market out there. But if it's like pros and cons, right? You're closer to the fire. There's so much going on out here. You're going to get swept into it, and it's like amazing in so many ways. But then at the same time, you're in a big city, right? So you lose some of the hometown feel of being in a larger city, and that's for some people and it's not for others.
Following you, you've been working with a lot of popular Instagram influencers and videographers, uh, and doing a lot of projects with them. Like, how did you establish the connection, and how did you get into the community?
Ultimately now, like looking back at it, there's so many people I've been able to work with that I now call really close friends. Um, and some people take the route of, they're like, I'm going to DM everyone, I'm going to do this. I really think the most organic way of getting to meet people is just going out, making friends, being around other people, being social. It was definitely something when I moved out here for the first year or two that I kind of neglected. I was very head down, like I'm going to just focus on making these videos and making better freelance projects and doing this and this, and I kind of neglected the whole aspect of people do business with people, and making friends in this industry is being a good person. And like if you go out there and you're a good person in general, you're going to make friends, and you're going to like people are going to be attracted to your energy and your passion and stuff, and like that just carries on exponentially into your career. So some people go about it, they're like, oh, I'm going to DM all these people all this stuff, but at the end of the day, like you really just have to talk to people face to face, I think. Even getting to I've done a lot of work in the past with Matt Como, and we actually just met through a mutual friend on a road trip, and that has been an incredibly fruitful like relationship, even just work wise, but even just personally. He's one of my closest friends now. So an example of someone that's big in the industry that we just met naturally, and then we got along really well, and great things came from it. So
Amazing. Yeah, I agree 100% that just by being a good person will naturally attract other people in your life, and even people who you look up to,
and maybe
That's
maybe one thing to add there would be, I think when you make good work as well, I think when you really show that you have a lot of passion and you're pouring yourself into your work, I think that attracts a lot of eyes as well, maybe from people that are above you or have more experience. They go, oh wow, like I really like this thing that he's doing, and you'll have people that you've never met reach out as well, say, hey, we have this project coming on, do you want to like oversee this or this? And you're like, whoa, that's crazy, like why why are you reaching out? And it's just because they liked your work.
next question I would ask, like, where do you get inspiration for your creative ideas? Because as I said before, as I mentioned, your videos are super creative, and you just do like little things that maybe some people may not even see, but it's there. One of the
Yeah.
things that was, I think, I haven't seen anywhere else, that when you put black bars in the video and then you mask out the object go out of the black bars,
Yeah.
like kind of making that 3D look, like, and all others things. And also, like, you're really good at sound design, probably one of the best that I've ever seen, and your every element in your video has a sound that, like, where do you get inspiration, and how do you battle your inspirational blocks, creative blocks?
I mean, it's kind of a vague answer. Like the first place my mind goes is I want to say from everywhere. Um, I feel like anytime we see like creative work, there's always aspects of it that you can take from anything, right? So if you're watching someone else's video, or you're watching, it could be a movie, it could be like some image you saw on Pinterest, or just colors or whatever. I always feel like I'm writing stuff down in my notes, like, oh, I really liked this thing or like this thing. And all creativity is just association, right? And so you're taking one thing, you're taking another thing, and you're just combining them together. And so when you say something like, the I think it was the Mauritius video from years ago where there's like a diver and
Yeah.
the pieces come out of the black bars. I remember thinking out. I'm always thinking like, what's just one step beyond this? Like what aspect could I take? Like here's this effect, or here's this device that I used, and then what's just one level above that? Or maybe I take some other crazy idea or something and combine it. Like, do these fit together at all? Yes, no, maybe not, and then just see if there's anything there. Um, it definitely helps having like a really solid understanding of different mediums inside of filmmaking, right? So when it comes to like, say you reference like the graphic design or even just motion design or knowing like basics of VFX and stuff, it kind of widens your horizon on what's possible, right? So having a background in working and just doing graphic design stuff, doing VFX stuff, all of a sudden when it comes to these ideas, I can combine some of that specific knowledge with these other newer ideas and go, okay, maybe I'll make this title like this, or maybe we track it like, or we do this, or we mask the things out of the black bars, and just always trying to find new little ways that can kind of push the boundaries on our work, and then just see where it takes you.
Well, the other question I would also love to know in your perspective, like for example, you moving from Nashville to California. Everybody knows California is not a cheap state, especially if you live in LA. Like it's expensive. So making money is very essential. How do you maintain quality over quantity? Because all of your projects that I've seen, they're very really high quality. It takes time, quality takes time. And how do you get to the point where you can maintain the quality but also make a lot of, like, enough money to live or make a lot of money?
I feel like over the past years and years, there's been at least a lot of the work that I've focused on putting out on my personal socials or on just Instagram, YouTube, whatever, have been pieces that I've taken out of my own time to make, kind of like passion projects or certain things. And in the beginning, especially when you're still working on your skills as a creative, and just operating a camera, how do I frame this properly? How do I like learn to direct on a basic level, and manage these shoots, and get the business side of things down. um, your projects right off the bat aren't going to be this crazy top tier thing. And I feel like the most growth as a creative, or just as like an artist in general, has come from these passion projects that I've been able to work on over the years. And the ultimate goal with them is to put them out there and show that this is what I'm capable of as a filmmaker. And then over the years and years and years, people have come to know that style as what they want, right? And so the work that you
Okay.
put out is the work that you get. It's actually it's a great saying. I love to just remind myself of, is like, if you're making wedding videos, you're gonna get wedding clients, right? Or if you're making event videos, you're gonna get event clients. Finding different ways to put yourself out there and kind of expand your scope of work is really what pushes the needle forward. And it's not always like the best answer for say, because the dream project's never just going to land in your lap, like, or even not even a dream project, but just a project that's outside of your skill set is very rarely going to just fall into your wheelhouse of what
Right.
you're going to be working on. A lot of times it takes you going out on your own and finding ways to push yourself, so that all of a sudden you can put out work that's beyond what your skill set was, so that other people can see that and come to you for that work. So that's where I feel like my career right now is kind of, we're like crossing paths here of the years and years of passion projects coming out. And there's nothing wrong with it, but for a lot of the work that we do, it doesn't end up on Instagram or on YouTube or
Right. Yeah.
different client projects. Some of them are really exciting and they do make it out there, but that's just the reality of it. I think at the end of the day, there's a huge need for video in every area, from the most stylized, artistic, all the way back down to just the tripod talking head corporate interview video.
Right.
There's a need for all of it, and there's a place for all of it. And I think finding what you naturally gravitate towards is super important, and then just trying to move in that direction. So I work with a production company called Blue Hour. So it's run by two of my really close friends, Chris and Alex, out of New York. And earlier this year, especially, we've done a lot of work with some of the clients Blue Hour has, getting to like work with United or Complex and do these like series type videos. Is what I spent a lot of earlier this year doing. And then we're actually in a season right now of making a spec project for Rivian. So this is an example of a personal project that we're going out of our way to do, to try to push into putting out like an automotive ad type piece to show and pitch and move forward into the last part of this year. So it's been all over the place, and then there's different gigs I take on. Like I've done a lot of work with Beautiful Destinations, which has been incredible. So we actually just wrapped a job last month in Greece. It was like a hotel rebranding shoot. We went out there for 12 days. just did a lot of like cam op work and then came back here. So
I saw you guys did Adobe. Was that like actual? Was Adobe actual the client? And I gotta say that altered state video, it's just nuts. Like it has so much in it. There's so much going on, and as I mentioned earlier, you're really good. You guys are really good at sound design. Like most of the video does not even have a song. It's all sounds.
dude, that project was a really special one. So that one actually stemmed right at the beginning of COVID when Alex and I were talking all the time, and Alex Broadstock um, and I were talking, and we were like, dude, we have to do something. Like, we got to make some project. And Alex actually got this opportunity from Adobe, and they said, hey, we just need these smaller kind of videos displaying. They need like background footage kind of for this ad they wanted us to make. It was very, very simple, and they had this really small budget, and they were like, can you guys do something? Alex is like, dude, why don't we just take what's here and just take it as far as we can. We delivered what we were going to deliver to them, and then Alex and I, we got busy over the next year, but we spent the next like 6 to 8 months just like every now and then, or like on the weekend, um, piecing together altered state. And that one was like a 2 to 3 minute beast with VFX stuff in it and like all these wild things. And we had sent it back off to Adobe, and they were like, oh my god, this is like this is insane, like
I
this is
bet.
like way crazier than what we even thought you guys were making. At the end of it, it was executed really well, but there's, as far as like a story goes, it doesn't feel very cohesive. Like when I watch it back, I'm kind of like, what is actually happening there? Where we had this really solid storyline, and then how it actually played out on set and in the edit, I felt like didn't follow through to like a narrative. So that was some learning points Alex and I took into our next project. But that project's super special to me. I love the visual effects in it. We went so crazy on the sound design.
So my next question is, what sacrifices have you had made to pursue your career in filmmaking? And you kind of touched a little bit on top of that, but were there some things where you had to make a really hard choice?
Definitely, definitely. I mean, in any line of work, like you're going to make sacrifices along the way. I think as far as filmmaking goes, there's an insane amount of time that goes into every detail of filmmaking, and especially when you're trying to do it at this high level and like make sure every piece is dialed. There's this constant battle with perfectionism, right? And how far do you want to go? There's like this law of diminishing return on every aspect of the work you do, and even financially as well, right? To pour money into something or to budget something out the right way, it's kind of knowing what you're able to do with what you have and trying to balance it the right way, because otherwise you'll just spend an infinite amount of time doing an infinite amount of things, and at the end of the day the work has to come out one way or another for these projects. So I'd definitely say the time is a really big sacrifice. I'd say financially as well. I mean, there's more than enough work to go around in this industry, and like it's a positive sum game. It's just knowing where to find it. um but the work we do is expensive, and to do the gear that you understand this, it's like
Right.
to be a photographer. You see the memes on Instagram, it's like, oh, cheap gifts to get your photographer friend, and it's like $14,000, this, that,
Yeah.
whatever. It's like, oh, right, okay. um so there's definitely the financial aspect of it, to do things the right way, to fund film sets, to run production companies and stuff. There's a lot of sacrifices from like an interpersonal relationship kind of thing, like working with so many people. There's a sacrifice like internally of trying. I don't know if this actually be a sacrifice. I'm kind of just like talking off my head here, but because you work with so many people in the film industry, I think you learn to get a really good gauge of like of of operating with other people, right? And it can take a lot out of you, right? To kind of like drop your ego and just understand, here's the situation, here's what's going on. How do we operate within these circumstances of this project, and to be a professional at all times, I'd say is a sacrifice to some degree, as far as like,
Yeah.
your mental goes. It's a lot of mental effort to, especially if you're leading a team or you're running a business, to be there and be an example for other people is, it can take a lot out of you. But it's always
Of
worth it,
course.
you know?
Yeah, because we're not just the machines who making creating stuff and making videos. We're also people, and everybody has their vision, their ego. Everybody has things that they prefer, and we work with people. So you also have to be a people person
Yeah.
where you can step down if you need to, or agree where you maybe not agreed. But and especially sometimes clients have their own vision, and you want to make it one way, but they want to make it the other way. You always have to be very flexible to just work with people and deliver it the best possible way. Looking back at your journey so far, like now you were just starting out making videos for fun, but now you're working with very great clients, great people. Would you have done anything differently?
I kind of touched on it earlier, but I definitely would have gotten out there and tried to meet more people. I think in the beginning, I think I would have just naturally gravitated to who I know now anyway, but it might have just happened sooner. I mean, I'm very like introverted at heart, and moving out here, like I said, I was just so like, I'm going to focus on the work and just, I just love being by myself and focusing on things that get me excited. And I think that's definitely part of it. But I think part of it is, there's a big world out there. Go out and talk to whoever you can.
Let's finish with this. Like, describe yourself in 3 words and explain each each word.
They just be like three separate words, right?
Yeah, three separate words that would describe you, maybe your personality, and just so people can get know you personally.
I would definitely say I would first one have to be passionate. Um, there's a lot of things I get really excited about when it comes to film or just in general, or like, the things that I love to do, like you go working out, just being outside, like whatever. So I definitely say passionate, focused for sure. I could definitely, put my head down and just focus on, I think passion and focus kind of go hand in hand as well. But what would be a word along the lines of like joking or like not serious or like,
Uh, Fun.
yeah, sure, we'll say fun. Just as
Okay,
like I a lot of times I do feel like sometimes I come off as very stoic. Just because I am so focused or I'm very like, in the zone with stuff. But I think a lot of my close friends don't see me as very serious at all. I
that's
think
awesome.
I,
Yeah,
I like to take everything very lightheartedly and as much as I love to and I'm passionate about filmmaking and the work and everything, like I love to just hang out with my friends and goof around. So
yeah, that's great. You always always have to have a balance where you do work and you did great and you focused on it, but then you also can go out and hang out with friends and just live your life, because
definitely.
not all of it in life is not all about work.
Definitely, and just to get out and like as much as the work and sacrifices there is in filmmaking, um just resting up and like getting in touch with yourself is just as big a part of it as focusing and grinding on the work and making projects happen. There's like eh, at the end of the day you have a life to live as well, and I think understanding like what you're doing it all for, if you can find friends that support you in that mission or aligned with that mission as well, then what more could you ask for? It's
I really appreciate your time, and it's been absolutely an honor to talk to you, and because I know you're busy, and just the time that you gave to me and basically to everyone who's gonna watch it, it's greatly appreciated.
amazing. Well,
Yeah.
dude, thank you for setting this up. I appreciate it. We'll have to talk again sometime soon.
Have a good luck with all your projects, and I'm excited to see what you're gonna create more. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
man. All right, we'll talk again soon.